going to go on a little rant. This video is about how things between men and women have changed in the past few decades, which I guess what was meant to be progress, but it's moved us so far, in my view, against what's natural, where there's, I'm sure you've heard of these topics that men are women, women are men now. But besides that, it's also that women are just as physically as strong as men. Women can do anything that men can do or better. But then the whole system is patriarchal. So like the whole system just needs to be demolished that we have set up that makes woman's life comfortable. Like I live in a house instead of a teepee. Or like what could a woman create that the rest of the women can live in that would be better? And with all the freedoms, why haven't they done it yet? So obviously we all need shelter. And this is the best that society could come up with as far as shelter goes. Some cultures are make it out of brick. Some cultures are making it out of wood or whatever other materials, depending on where you live in the world. Like I lived in the Middle East, in Israel, a lot of their stuff is made out of stone. Like, I don't know how they make that stuff, but it's anyway, they take local material to make their stuff. And it actually helps to cool internally because of the material they use, which makes it harder in the wintertime, but whatever. But still, all of that was created, invented, and built by men. So I don't understand the women that are saying that we need to destroy the patriarchy or the whole system is bad, while saying it living in a house created and built by a guy, for the most part, on a computer created and built by a guy, sitting in a chair, saying all this shit, created and built by a guy. Like, what could a woman create that would be any different? And if a woman could, why hasn't she? Because I haven't seen anything in all the freedoms that a woman has had all these years. I haven't seen any improvement, anything new. Like the chairs have changed to become ergonomics, all of that, but that's still, was that a woman or a guy creating that? Now, why am I going on this rant? First of all, I'm sick of feminists. I'm just absolutely disgusted, but I didn't even know how bad it was because I guess my life is very sheltered and isolated. But when I go on YouTube and the crap that I hear, it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with these people. And it's just, they're hurting people with that rhetoric. Like all of it. I mean, obviously, this is nothing to do with the feminism that initially started, where voting rights or property rights, that, woman is not an object, things like that. That was the initial feminism, and I think any guy in the Western world would agree with it. But it's like now it's like the same guys that agree with it and make our life so comfortable, and fight for us, the police officers, the military, the firemen. And of course, there's women in all of that, and I'm sure they do a great job. That's it, right? But majority is still men. And all of that gets trashed on and spit on. That to me is unacceptable. And a bigger reason why I'm saying this is because as a woman who's going to be open and transparent here. This whole thing about our equality is bullshit. I mean, if people don't realize that the whole term of equality has a Marxist root to it. I mean, I'm from former Soviet Union. That was the first experiment of equality and feminism. Feminism did not start in first world countries. That whole fist, the kulak, that came from Bolsheviks. Because when Bolsheviks took power, and it was basically a society away from God, separating man from God or woman, and putting everybody to work. You work. And everybody meant everybody, men and women equally. So that means women went into the factories, women went into the engineering jobs. There was no, you work if you want to, the guy is the provider, which is generally how it's been and our human nature. Like that, the Marxist, the socialist, the communist, whatever ideology is basically taking us away from the prime creator and taking us away from nature, and taking men away from women, taking child away from parents, because both parents are working. That means the child is raised by the state. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, especially during Stalin time, where literally parents were just sent off to Siberia for anything. And that was the whole point, because these kids were sent to an orphanage and they had like a little photograph of Stalin and they were told, that's your father. And they even have movies about this if you want to watch it. That was the whole point. It's just, this is how you create a society that will be completely submissive. You take away the parents. And obviously, the parents are not just there as the moneymaker and throwing money at the child, buying them the new video game or the new sneakers. It's about spending quality time. The only way you do that is if you're not obsessing about money. Whether it's because of economic hardship or because you just feminism pushes women to pursue careers. Like when men work and rise up in companies and make more money, it's not because they're trying to prove something. It's not because, for the most part, it's not because they're doing it for their career. They're doing it to make more money, because it's just it's innate and genetic. It's like money, money, money for a guy. They don't give a shit most of the time. Like I work with men, like they seek my service. They don't think about necessarily their self-development or showing the world how hard they work. They're the go-getters. They're ambitious. They have a drive. They want to make more money. They just want to keep going. Of course, now you have a lot of men that don't, because why would they if the woman is making it? Or if it's 50-50, then why would they do that? It just cuts off that drive. But as a woman, I've been a woman my whole life, and menstruating since 13, it has been absolutely impossible for me to compete on the same level as men, even in the same profession where there's very few men. But when there is a guy, they're going to make more money than me, even my profession, not on the hourly rate, but overall. Because there's only so much energy I have, and there's days that I feel so shitty that I'm in a professional, I found like a setting that I can just reschedule the client, and most of the time it's okay. Once in a while they don't reschedule and I lose $20, whatever, for that session. It's not the end of the world. Most clients I'm able just to move to another day, and that way I don't lose. Like that flexibility is is really, really helpful because there are days where I just can't. And my profession requires a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. I literally lost a client like last month because I didn't have enough energy. So for a guy, a lot of times the type of job men do, they don't need high, bubbly, hi, oh my God. Like they don't need that. They just work. They just do the shit and get the shit done, and that's it. The type of work that women, we need to be pleasant. We need to be engaging. I work with kids. I work with people. Like it's my job to make them feel good and want to be here. So like men don't necessarily, unless they have some kind of injury, obviously, where that affects their work on a monthly basis, don't need to think about a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not even a matter, like I've always been like constantly told in the US, like, oh, just take a pill, just a painkiller. We feel sick not just because we're in pain. It's actually the range of symptoms that we experience. Pain is minimal a lot of time. Like when you're an adolescent or so, younger, there's more pain, but a lot of the symptoms have nothing to do with actual pain. There's so much more that's going on, and it's just learning more about it is very important for women. Like I went to see an acupuncturist because I had issues with my cycle for like 3 years. It was debilitating. It was absolutely miserable. And no doctor would even look at me like, oh, no, it's normal. It's normal. It's just because of your age and you haven't had kids. Imagine being told that it's normal. You're sick all the time. It's normal. It's because of you haven't had kids and because of your age. I mean, I would be dragging my feet around and I had to be like, hi. So something I learned from acupuncturist is he was working on my reproduction stuff, and he was not targeting my uterus or my ovaries. He was targeting 3 organs that you would never even think have anything to do with our cycle. He was targeting the kidneys, the pancreas, and the liver. Why? Why are the 3 organs have anything to do with a woman's cycle? Well, there's a lot more to learn here. I kind of just get the gist of it. Our kidneys regulate the circular system, the circulation of the body, which means the blood, which means water, which means like everything. It's not just going to the bathroom. So a lot of times women going through their cycle get hot flashes. Now, people think like hot flashes are associated with menopause. No, I get them all the time. I've had them since I was a teenager. Like all of a sudden you're set on fire. Imagine like working and then all of a sudden and you're sweating. No, this happens just for menstruating. And all of a sudden, and there's no pill for that. And it just could mean that your kidneys are a little bit out of balance. No doctor is ever going to tell you. There's no test to actually detect an imbalance in your kidneys until like they're falling apart. And the same thing with the thyroid. There's a lot of stuff that could be going on with our thyroid. That's another thing. Our thyroid also affects our cycle, and most medical exams cannot detect. And a lot of times they provide like this medication, this type of hormone that actually makes things worse, and the doctors don't see it. They just like, oh, you know what? You need a heavier dose. What did I say? Sorry, was it the pancreas or the spleen? I get those two confused. One of them provides 2 types of hormone for our digestion. Insulin. Oh shit, I should have like researched this a little more. I thought I had it in my memory. And another one. Anyway, you want to learn more about it, you can research this. This is just, I wanted to gist for sense of perspective. Anyway, 2 hormones that affect our digestion. And like, why? Well, what does our digestion have to do with our reproduction? Well, a common symptom for women when our menstruation starts is we have digestion issues. So isn't it important to kind of target the hormones that affect our digestion so we don't feel so sick? Now, liver is basically our filter. Now, he was targeting the liver because if I had excess of estrogen, it would get filtered in the liver and get stuck there. So I needed help like to be cleansed out and to identify that you do have an excess in estrogen, if that's what's going on. Guess what? Estrogen is in everything we're exposed to right now. It's in pesticide, it's in plastic, it's in the water. It's not just soy, it's not just dairy, it's everything. There's a, what are they? They're kind of, it's a fake, obviously, estrogen, but it has the same, connectors that our body recognizes as regular estrogen. So if a lot of women and men right now are kind of have an increased level of estrogen, there's something to think about. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I feel like, and I realized it a year ago since my awakening started, how much, like I used to resent the fact that we go through this process. I used to be bitter about it. And I think a lot of feminists are also bitter that men don't go through it. So, and we have to work on the same level as men now. We're like really pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to compete. We were not designed to compete. We're not here to compete, but society is programming us to compete. So there's like this battle going on, even though naturally that's not our design. We're designed to complement each other. So the femininity, the softness of the woman is being attacked. I heard so much narrative about, oh, what does that mean to be feminine? It means exactly what that means. It means to be soft. It means to be gentle. It means to be pleasant. It means to not be aggressive and a wild banshee and attacking people for no reason and being aggressive. Feminine means exactly what it means. Doesn't mean high heels and makeup and all tight dresses or cleavage, because like the same women who are saying don't look at me as a sex object are constantly exposing themselves. So it's like a lot of hypocrisy here. Excuse me, I'm very uncomfortable. Yeah, clothes. Men just put on a t-shirt and go, or a suit. I have literally, sometimes I buy clothes that I like in 2 sizes. Like I stock up on clothes, and I have pants that are size small and medium. So, and I know this is a bit of a rant, and probably some people are not going to like this, but I'm just saying this. Can we kind of start using a little common sense and get back to reality and to how we actually designed? Sorry, one thing I was saying in my brain fog. Once when my awakening happened, I started kind of seeing my cycle is not a burden, but a responsibility. Like my soul chose to be a woman. It's my responsibility. It's not a man's responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility to pay for my products. It's not anybody's responsibility to provide stuff for me. I mean, the government is not providing men with razors, and they shave every day. A lot of time, especially like the society that my dad grew up in Soviet Union, everybody shaved, like nobody carried a beard. But nobody provided it for free. And he used to have like, he still has like the electric one, so it needs to be cleaned and maintained and all of that. He just does it. He doesn't like, oh, you see what I gotta do to shave off my hair. No, he just does it. So yeah, like this video is not really to attack. I'm like trying to do the opposite of what's been going on, because it's like the whole point is connecting us back to the feminine, back to the masculine, and away from what we've been bombarded with. And I think a lot of this duality and this friction that's been going on between men and women will start dying out if we start connecting to our true selves in the divine masculine and feminine self.